Captain Lee Hyun stood on the bridge of his cargo ship Soul Pride, watching the alien warships come closer. His hand stayed calm on the control panel, even though his heart was beating fast. The Corvin ships looked huge and dangerous, with their dark metal hulls covered in weapon ports that could destroy his vessel in seconds. The bridge crew around him played their parts perfectly. Engineer Kim Soo pretended to panic as she worked on the old reactor system's communications officer Park. Day sent out distress signals that sounded desperate and afraid. Navigator Yuna made the ship shake and wobble like it was barely holding together. All of them were trained actors in the most important performance humanity had ever staged. Lee Hyun smiled inside his helmet as the lead Corvin ship sent a docking request. The aliens thought they were about to capture another weak human vessel. They had been doing this for months, attacking human colonies and ships finding only old technology and scared crews. The Corvins believed humans were primitive creatures who barely knew how to travel between stars, deep under the Pacific Ocean. Admiral Park Mina sat in the secret command center that no alien knew existed. The room was filled with advanced screens and computers that showed every human ship in the galaxy. She watched Lee Hyun's performance through a quantum communicator that sent signals faster than light. The technology was so advanced that even the smartest alien scientists would not understand it for another 1,000 years. Park Mina had gray hair and tired eyes from years of planning. This moment she had spent 20 years building the secret fleet and training crews for this deception. Every human ship the aliens had seen was deliberately outdated using technology from 50 years ago. The real human ships were hidden in asteroid fields and behind moons waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. The Corvin boarding party entered Soul Pride through the main airlock. They wore heavy armor and carried energy weapons that glowed with blue light. Their leader was tall with 4 arms and skin like black stone. He looked around the cargo bay and laughed at what he saw. The humans had boxes of simple trade goods, basic medical supplies, and food rations. Nothing that suggested they were anything more than merchant traders. Lee Hyun met the alien commander in the ship's main corridor. He bowed politely and spoke in broken Corvin language, pretending he had only learned a few words. The alien commander found this amusing and began speaking very slowly, like he was talking to a child. He asked about Earth defenses, and Lee Hyun told him exactly what the aliens wanted to hear. The human captain explained that Earth only had a few hundred old warships and some orbital platforms with basic weapons. He said human technology was centuries behind galactic standards, and that they were hoping to buy better equipment from alien traders. The Corvin commander nodded and made notes on his electronic pad, believing every word. Meanwhile, hidden throughout the solar system, the real human fleet waited in complete silence. Ships like Incheon, Thunder, and Busan. Lightning floated in the darkness between asteroids. Their crews, led by commanders like Kim Jun and Choi Nara, had been training for this moment for years. These vessels used gravitational cloaking that bent light and space around them, making them invisible to any known scanning technology. The ships were beautiful and deadly, with smooth hulls that seemed to absorb starlight. Their weapons could manipulate matter at the quantum level, creating and destroying atoms at will. Their engines could fold space-time, allowing them to travel across the galaxy in minutes instead of months. But none of this technology had ever been seen by alien eyes. Commander Kim Jun floated in zero gravity on the bridge of his stealth destroyer, watching alien patrol ships pass by just kilometers away. The Corvins had no idea that a ship capable of destroying their entire fleet was right next to them. He checked his chronometer and saw that the deception was proceeding perfectly according to Admiral Park Min's master plan. On Earth itself, billions of humans went about their daily lives in cities that looked primitive and simple from space. The aliens scanning the planet saw only basic technology, crude transportation systems, and simple communication networks. What they could not detect were the massive, underground facilities where the most advanced technology in the galaxy was being produced. The Corvin commander finished his inspection of Soul Pride and returned to his warship. He was already composing his report to the High Command. The humans were even weaker than they had thought. Their ships were slow. Their weapons were basic, and their crews were poorly trained. A small occupation force would be enough to control the entire human species. Lee Hyun watched the alien ships move away and finally allowed himself to smile. The performance had been perfect. The Corvins had seen exactly what they expected to see and learned exactly what humanity wanted them to learn. Now they would report back to their leaders that humans posed no threat. At All Admiral Park, Mina received the confirmation signal from dozens of human captains across the galaxy. Every encounter with alien forces had gone according to plan. The deception was now complete. The Corvins believed they understood human capabilities and were planning their invasion based on completely false information. The Admiral looked at the massive display showing the real human fleet scattered across hundreds of star systems. 2,000 ships waited in hiding, each one more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. The crews were ready, the weapons were charged, and the trap was set. All they needed now was for the Corvins to take the baiting. The Corvin Capital World military planners studied the reports from their scouts. The humans appeared to be a primitive species that had barely learned to travel between planets. Their technology was crude, their defenses were weak, and their spirit seemed broken by the superior alien forces. The invasion would be simple and quick. The Corvin High Command decided to send 300 ships to conquer Earth. This was considered overwhelming force for such a weak target. The fleet would arrive, destroy any resistance, and establish permanent control over the human homeworld. Conquest would take days at most. What the aliens did not know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment since their first contact with galactic civilization 50 years ago. When human explorers had encountered their first alien ship, they had realized they were far behind in technology. Instead of trying to catch up openly, they had chosen a different path. The greatest minds on Earth had worked together to create a plan that would take decades to complete. They would pretend to be primitive while secretly developing technology that surpassed anything in the galaxy. They would act weak while building the most powerful fleet in known space. They would play the role of victims while preparing to become the galaxy's greatest predators. The deception had required incredible discipline. Every human in space had to play their part perfectly. Every ship had to use old technology. Every crew had to seem afraid and unprepared. The slightest mistake would have revealed the truth and ruined everything. But now the trap was ready. The Corvins were coming with their invasion fleet expecting easy victory. What they would find instead would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The greatest deception in galactic history was about to reach its climax. The Corvin invasion fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, like a dark cloud blocking out the stars. 300 massive warships arranged themselves in perfect formation, their weapons already charging. For the quick battle they expected, Commander Yang Su watched from the hidden lunar base as the alien armada moved toward Earth with complete confidence. The alien ships were impressive and terrifying. Each one was the size of a small city covered in armor plating that could stop nuclear weapons. Their energy shields glowed with deadly power, and their weapon arrays could destroy entire planets. The Corvin Admiral had brought enough firepower to conquer a dozen worlds because he wanted this victory to be absolutely certain. Yang Su smiled as he watched the alien formation through his advanced sensors. The Corvins were using standard battle tactics from their military handbook, spreading their ships in wide lines to maximize their firing coverage. It was exactly what human war planners had predicted they would do. The aliens were so confident they were not even being careful. Earth responded exactly as the Corvins expected. A small fleet of human ships limped out to meet the invasion. Force Captain Bei Jin commanded the ancient battleship Guangzhou, leading a pathetic collection of destroyers and cruisers that looked like they had been built from scrap metal. The human ships moved slowly with engines that sputtered and weapons that seemed barely functional. The Corvin Admiral looked at his tactical display and actually laughed. The humans had sent 23 ships to fight his 300. The human vessels were not even in proper formation, and their approach pattern showed they had no real military training. This would not be a battle. It would be target practice. Captain Bei Jin stood on his bridge surrounded by equipment that looked decades out of date. His crew worked frantically at control panels covered in analog gauges and mechanical switches. The ship shook constantly as its old engines struggled to maintain power. Everything about the vessel screamed weakness and desperation. The first exchange of fire began when the human fleet reached weapons. Range Bay Jin's ships opened up with primitive missiles and basic laser beams that barely scratched the Corvin shields. The aliens returned fire with devastating energy weapons that tore through human armor like paper. Within minutes, 3 human ships were drifting powerless with their hulls cracked open. The massacre continued exactly as planned. More human ships exploded in brilliant fireballs while others lost power and began spinning helplessly through space. The few weapons that humans managed to fire did almost no damage to the superior alien technology. The Corvin crews were already celebrating victory, but Lieutenant Commander Han Sol was watching something else from his hidden position in the asteroid belt. He monitored alien communications and noticed the Corvin chatter was becoming too relaxed. The enemy crews were joking about human incompetence and making bets about how long the battle would last. Their formation was getting sloppy as they spread out to avoid the debris. The Corvin admiral was so confident he ordered his ships to break formation and surround the remaining human vessels. He wanted to capture some of them intact for study. The alien crews were treating this like a training exercise rather than a real battle. Their guard was completely down. That was the moment Admiral Park Mina had been waiting for. Deep in her underground command center, she gave the signal that would change galactic history forever. Her fingers moved across controls that activated systems the aliens had never imagined. Across the solar system, hidden bases came online with technology that bent the laws of physics. The first sign of trouble came when space itself began to behave strangely. Around the Corvin fleet, gravity waves started pulsing in impossible patterns. The alien sensors detected massive energy readings coming from empty space, but could not locate the source. Their navigation computers began showing errors as local space-time became unstable. Commander Han Sol watched with satisfaction as the gravity scramblers did their work. The hidden devices created a field that made faster-than-light travel impossible within the solar system. Any ship trying to jump to hyperspace would find itself trapped. In normal space, the Corvin fleet was now caught in a cage they could not escape. The alien admiral tried to order a retreat, but his faster-than-light communicators were not working properly. The gravity distortions were interfering with all their advanced technology. His ship's engines could still move them through normal space, but they could not escape to hyperspace. The trap had been sprung perfectly. Panic began spreading through the Corvin fleet as their technicians realized what was happening. They were cut off from reinforcements, unable to call for help, and trapped in a star system that suddenly seemed much more dangerous than they had thought. The easy conquest was becoming something else entirely. The remaining human ships on the battlefield suddenly stopped their desperate retreat. Captain Bei Jin straightened up on his bridge as his crew dropped their act of panic and confusion. The old equipment around them was just for show. Hidden beneath were controls for the most advanced technology. In the galaxy Admiral Park, Mina opened communication channels to every Corvin ship simultaneously using technology that bypassed all their security systems. Her voice spoke in perfect Corvin language directly into their command centers. The aliens had never heard such clear transmission quality and had no idea how humans were reaching them. Her message was simple and terrifying. Welcome to Earth space. You have been deceived. Your faster-than-light drives are disabled, and you are completely surrounded. You have one choice: surrender immediately or face the consequences of your aggression against humanity. The Corvin admiral stared at his displays in growing horror. His sensors were detecting massive energy signatures appearing throughout. The solar system ships were uncloaking all around his fleet vessels that had been completely invisible just moments before. The humans had been hiding a massive fleet right under their noses. The alien crews watched in shock as space rippled around them, revealing human warships that looked nothing like the primitive vessels they had been fighting. These new ships were sleek and deadly, with hulls that seemed to absorb light and weapon arrays that hummed with unknown power. More ships appeared, every second materializing from behind asteroids, moons, and planets. The human fleet was enormous, dwarfing the Corvin invasion force by more than 6-1. Every alien vessel found itself surrounded by multiple human ships, positioned with mathematical precision. The Corvin admiral realized with sick certainty that he had led his fleet into the most sophisticated trap in military history. The humans had not just hidden their ships, they had hidden their entire civilization. The primitive merchants and fearful colonists had been actors in a deception that spanned decades. Command centers throughout the Corvin fleet erupted in chaos as officers tried to understand what was happening. Their tactical computers could not analyze the human technology. Their weapon systems could not lock onto targets that seemed to phase in and out of reality. Their shields were useless against scanning beams that penetrated them like they were not there. Admiral Park. Mina watched the alien confusion with cold satisfaction. The moment humanity had been preparing for since first contact had finally arrived. The galaxy would learn that the species they had dismissed as primitive was actually the most dangerous force in known space. The deception was complete. The trap was sprung and the real war was about to begin. The Corvin invasion fleet that had come to conquer Earth now found themselves prisoners of the very people they had underestimated. Humanity was ready to show the galaxy what they were really capable of. Captain Song Hai felt the familiar tingle as her ship's cloaking field powered down around her. The stealth destroyer Daegu Shadow had been floating invisible just 50 meters from a Corvin battlecruiser for the past hour, watching the aliens celebrate their easy victory. Now as her ship became visible, the enemy crew stared through their viewports in complete shock. The first thing the aliens noticed was how different this human ship looked. The Daegu Shadow had smooth flowing lines like it had been grown rather than built. Its hull seemed to drink in starlight, making it appear darker than the space around it. Strange energy patterns danced along its surface in colors the Corvins had never seen before. All around the battlefield similar. Scenes played out as the real human fleet revealed itself. The massive dreadnought Jeju Storm materialized directly between two Corvin battle groups, its enormous bulk dwarfing the alien vessels. Commander Ryu Min grinned as his ship, Pohang Fury, dropped its invisibility field so close to an enemy cruiser that the two crews could see each other clearly. The space around Earth filled with human warships appearing from impossible locations. Ships emerged from inside asteroid fields where there had been no room for them to hide. Others seemed to step sideways out of empty space, arriving from directions that made no sense according to known physics. The human fleet was not just big, it was everywhere. Commander Yang Su counted the ships. As they appeared on his displays from the lunar base, 100 vessels became 200, then 500, then 1,000. The numbers kept climbing as more ships uncloaked from positions throughout the solar system. Each one was sleek, deadly, and completely unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Corvin admiral stared at his tactical display with growing terror. The screen showed over 2,000 human ships surrounding his 300-vessel invasion force. Every alien ship was now trapped in overlapping fields of fire with multiple human vessels targeting them from different angles. The perfect trap had become a perfect killing field. Captain Kim Ray commanded the experimental vessel Changwon Whisper from her position above the Corvin flagship. She could see the alien bridge through her advanced sensors, watching their crew panic as they tried to understand what was happening. Their computers were overloading, trying to process sensor data that made no scientific sense. The human ships moved with perfect coordination, like they were controlled by a single mind. Ships that had been scattered across the solar system now formed precise battle formations without any visible communication. The aliens realized with horror that human technology was so advanced they could coordinate instantly across vast distances. Colonel Onam opened communication channels from his orbital fortress, Soul Guardian. His message went to every Corvin ship simultaneously, appearing on their main screens whether they wanted to receive it or not. The human technology could bypass every security system the aliens had and speak directly to their command centers. The colonel's face appeared on Corvin screens throughout the fleet. He was middle-aged with calm eyes and a slight smile that made the aliens even more nervous. He spoke in perfect Corvin language, with accent and grammar that was better than many native speakers. His words were simple but carried the weight of absolute authority. "You are surrounded," he said calmly. "Your faster-than-light drives are disabled and will remain so until we choose to restore them. You have two options: surrender immediately and be treated as prisoners of war, or resist and be destroyed. There will be no negotiation and no second chances." The Corvan admiral tried to respond but found his communication systems would not obey him. Human technology had taken control of his ships. Functions, allowing only incoming messages. The aliens were trapped in their own vessels, unable to coordinate their response or call for help. What terrified the Corvans most was realizing how long humans must have been studying them. Onam's perfect language skills meant humans had been learning alien cultures for decades or centuries. The primitive traders and diplomats the aliens had dismissed had been gathering intelligence all along. Captain Songhai decided to demonstrate human weapons technology for the benefit of any aliens still thinking about resistance. She targeted a small asteroid floating between the fleets and fired a single quantum disruptor beam. The weapon seemed to bend space around the asteroid, which simply ceased to exist without any explosion or debris. The demonstration sent shockwaves through the Corvan fleet. Their own weapons worked by applying force or energy to destroy targets. The human weapon had somehow convinced matter that it should not exist. The aliens had no defense against technology that operated outside known physics. Commander Ryu Min followed up with his own demonstration using gravitational manipulators to create a small artificial gravity well that pulled 3 disabled human ships back together and began repairing them automatically. The Corvan crews watched in amazement as human technology rebuilt, destroyed vessels using materials pulled from space debris. The technological display continued as more human ships revealed capabilities that seemed like magic. Captain Li Bin showed how matter-energy conversion weapons could transform asteroids into pure energy, while Captain Na Wan demonstrated time dilation fields that made human ships appear to move at impossible speeds. But the most shocking revelation came when Colonel Onam revealed that humans had been in contact with other species throughout Corvan space. His fortress began broadcasting signals from ships hidden in alien systems, vessels crewed by the very species the Corvans thought they had conquered completely. The voices of defeated alien races filled Corvan communication channels. Species that had been enslaved for decades spoke in their native languages, thanking humanity for coming to liberate them. The Corvans realized with growing dread that their empire was surrounded by enemies they had created. Admiral Park Mina finally revealed herself to the trapped invasion fleet. Her image appeared on every screen throughout the alien Armada. She was an elderly woman with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much war. But her presence commanded immediate respect even from her enemies. She spoke in multiple languages, simultaneously addressing each Corvan ship in their crew's native tongue. Her words were calm and measured, but carried the authority of someone who held the power of life and death over 300,000 alien soldiers. For 50 years, she said, humanity has watched and learned. We have studied your languages, your customs, your technology, and your weaknesses. We have prepared for this day since our first contact with galactic civilization. You believed we were primitive, but we were simply patient. The Admiral explained that every human encounter with alien forces had been carefully planned and executed. Human merchants had been intelligence agents. Human diplomats had been military observers, and human colonists had been advanced scouts for the real invasion that was happening now. The Corvans listened in stunned silence as Park Mina revealed the scope of human preparation. Secret bases throughout the galaxy, hidden fleets in unexplored systems, and alliance agreements. With dozens of species the aliens had thought were conquered. The invasion of Earth had triggered a galaxy-wide uprising. The human admiral concluded her speech with words that would echo throughout galactic history. The age of conquest through superior firepower is ending. Today begins the age of liberation through superior preparation. You came here to enslave humanity. Instead, you have freed the galaxy from your tyranny. The real human fleet hung in space around the trapped Corvan invasion force, like predators surrounding prey. 2,000 ships waited for orders, their weapons charged, and their crews ready. The aliens finally understood they had not invaded a primitive world, they had walked into the lair of the galaxy's apex predator. Commander Jang Sun positioned his experimental ship Mokpo Blade directly in front of the massive Corvan flagship, preparing to demonstrate why the aliens should fear human technology. The sleek vessel looked tiny compared to the enemy dreadnought, But appearances meant nothing when dealing with weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. The Corvin flagship bristled with enough firepower to destroy a moon, its primary weapon array glowing with deadly energy as it prepared to fire Zhang. Sun smiled and activated his quantum disruptor, aiming carefully at the alien weapons. The beam that emerged from his ship was barely visible, just a faint shimmer in space. The quantum disruptor passed through the Corvin shields like they were not there. The alien crew watched in horror as their primary weapon array simply vanished, not destroyed or damaged, but erased from existence as if it had never been built. The surrounding hull was completely untouched, showing the surgical precision of human weapons. Gasps of shock echoed through Corvin communication channels as crews throughout the fleet realized what they had witnessed. Human weapons could ignore their best defenses and remove specific targets without harming anything else. The technology was so advanced it seemed like Magic Admiral Park Mina's voice filled every Corvin ship as she began explaining what the aliens had walked into. Her words were calm and educational, like a teacher instructing students about a subject they needed to understand for their own survival. Humanity has been monitoring galactic civilization for over a century, she said. We have learned every language, studied every culture, and analyzed every technology. We know more about your species than you know about yourselves. We have been preparing for this moment since before your current emperor was born. The admiral gestured, and displays throughout the Corvin fleet began showing star charts that took their breath away. Human outposts marked dozens of systems the aliens thought were unexplored secret bases dotted the galaxy in locations no one had ever suspected. Human influence reached into every corner of known space. Captain Kim Ray decided to demonstrate another impossible human capability. Her ship, Changwon. Whisper began to phase in and out of normal space, stepping sideways through dimensions that Corvin science insisted did not exist. The vessel appeared inside the shields of an enemy, dreadnought, its hull overlapping with alien metal. For a terrifying moment, the two ships occupied the same space in a way that should have destroyed both vessels. Instead, the human ship simply stepped back out, leaving the Corvin crew shaking with fear. They had watched their reality being casually violated by technology beyond their comprehension. The demonstration continued as Commander Yun Tai showed the true power of human gravity manipulation. His ship created a localized black hole that pulled in space debris and enemy missiles, crushing them into nothingness. The black hole lasted only seconds, but its message was clear. Humans could create and control forces that destroyed stars. Captain Li Bin followed with a display of matter-energy conversion that left the aliens speechless. She targeted a large asteroid and fired a beam that transformed the entire rocky mass into pure energy. The light was so bright it could be seen from other star systems, and the power released was equivalent to a stellar explosion. The most terrifying demonstration came from Captain Na 1, who revealed that humans had been secretly communicating with species across the galaxy. Her ship opened channels to vessels hiding throughout Corvin space, ships crewed by aliens. The Corvins thought they had completely defeated. Voices filled the communication network, speaking in dozens of languages, as conquered species confirmed they were ready to rise up against their oppressors. The Corvins realized with growing horror that their empire was filled with hidden enemies waiting for the signal to strike. The psychological impact was devastating for alien crews who had believed they were the dominant military force in the galaxy. Every assumption they had made about human capabilities was wrong. Every report they had received from scouts was false. The primitive species they had come to conquer was actually the most advanced civilization in known space. Captain Song Hai opened private communication channels with individual Corvin, officers speaking to them in their native languages and discussing their personal histories. The aliens realized with shock that humans knew intimate details about their lives, their families, and their fears. The knowledge was precise and current, showing that human intelligence networks had penetrated every level of Corvin society. Officers found humans discussing their recent promotions, their family problems, and their secret doubts about the war. The invasion fleet was fighting an enemy that knew them better than they knew themselves. Admiral Park revealed the final shocking truth about human capabilities. The hidden bases, the secret fleets, and the alliance networks were just the beginning. Humanity had been quietly establishing colonies in unexplored regions of space, creating a shadow civilization that spanned thousands of light years. The scope was breathtaking. Human settlements existed in systems beyond the edge of known space, connected by faster-than-light communication networks and protected by weapons platforms that could destroy entire fleets. The Corvan Empire was just one small part of a galaxy that humanity had already claimed, but humans offered something unprecedented instead of conquest. They offered partnership. Admiral Park explained that Earth did not seek to replace the Corvan Empire with a human one. Instead, they wanted to create a new kind of galactic civilization based on cooperation rather than domination. The offer came with a demonstration of human mercy ships throughout the trapped Corvan fleet found their damaged systems being repaired by invisible human technology. Medical supplies appeared in their sick bays, and food materialized in their storage areas. Humans were healing their enemies, even as they held them prisoner. The message was clear. Humanity had the power to destroy the Corvan fleet instantly, but chose instead to show compassion. The aliens were being offered a choice between extinction and evolution, between clinging to their failing empire and joining something greater. Commander Yang Su broadcast final intelligence reports that shattered any remaining Corvan confidence. Human spy networks had infiltrated governments throughout the galaxy. Secret human agents had been gathering information from inside alien military commands for decades. The invasion of Earth had been expected and prepared for. The Corvan admiral finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. He had not led an invasion force to conquer a primitive world. He had brought his fleet into a carefully planned trap, designed to demonstrate human superiority to the entire galaxy. The Battle of Earth was not about defending one planet. It was about announcing humanity's arrival as a galactic superpower. As the demonstrations ended, the space around Earth fell silent. The Corvan invasion fleet hung motionless, surrounded by human ships that could have destroyed them at any moment. The aliens finally understood they were no longer the hunters. They had become the prey. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had revealed itself as a force that could rewrite the rules of interstellar civilization. The age of conquest was ending, and the age of human leadership was about to begin. The question now was whether other species would adapt to the new reality or be swept aside by it. The news of the Corvan defeat spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. Human communication networks that had remained hidden for decades suddenly activated, carrying the shocking truth to every inhabited world within hours. The Galactic Council, which had dismissed humanity as a primitive species, now faced the collapse of everything they thought they knew. Ambassador Seo Hoon stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council in chambers that had seen 1,000 years of alien politics. Her presence alone was revolutionary. No human had ever been permitted to address the Council as an equal before, but circumstances had changed dramatically in the past 24 hours. The Council members, representing dozens of species, sat in stunned silence as holographic displays showed the destruction of the Corvan invasion fleet. 300 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy had surrendered, without firing a shot, defeated by technology that seemed to violate the basic laws of physics. Seo Hoon spoke in perfect galactic standard, her voice carrying the quiet confidence of someone who represented the new dominant power in known space. She explained calmly that humanity had been observing Council proceedings for over 50 years, learning their languages, studying their politics, and preparing for this moment. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled delegates. They realized that every closed session, every secret vote, and every private negotiation had potentially been monitored by human agents. The species they had ignored as irrelevant traitors had been gathering intelligence on the highest levels of galactic government. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Commander Park Du led liberation fleets that appeared in Corvan controlled systems like avenging angels. His ships materialized in orbital space around conquered worlds, offering the same choice. The Corvan invasion fleet had received surrender or face annihilation. The pattern repeated in system after system. Corvan occupation forces found themselves surrounded by human vessels that had appeared from empty space. The aliens had 2 minutes to abandon their positions or be destroyed. Most chose surrender after witnessing what had happened to their invasion fleet at Earthon. the industrial world of Kepler-7. Commander Park Das' fleet appeared in formation around the orbital shipyards where Corvin engineers had been building new warships. Human technology scanned the facilities and sent precise instructions to shut down all military production. Within hours, the shipyards were under human control. The liberation of Vega Colony followed the same pattern. Corvin ground forces that had been oppressing human settlers for months suddenly found their equipment failing, their communication systems jammed, and their supply lines cut. Human ships overhead broadcast surrender demands in perfect Corvin language. But the real revolution came when humans revealed their secret alliance network. Captain Wu Jin commanded supply ships that brought advanced medical technology and improved life support systems to worlds that had been struggling under Corvin occupation. The aid came with no strings attached, and no demands for payment. Species that had been conquered decades ago discovered they were suddenly free. The Altarian resistance that had fought a hopeless guerrilla war for 20 years received quantum communication devices that let them coordinate. Across their entire star system, Corvin forces found themselves facing an enemy that could strike anywhere. The psychological impact spread through alien governments like wildfire. Leaders who had dismissed humans as harmless traitors realized they might have been infiltrated at the highest levels. Every human diplomat, every merchant captain, and every cultural exchange student could have been an advanced intelligence agent. Commander Hong Na led medical relief ships to worlds where Corvin occupation had created humanitarian crises. Human healing technology could repair injuries that alien medicine considered permanent. Diseases that had plagued species for generations were cured with treatments that seemed miraculous. The generosity was strategic as much as humanitarian. Each act of healing, each gift of technology, and each liberation of an oppressed world demonstrated that humanity offered something the galaxy had never seen before. Genuine partnership, backed by overwhelming power. Admiral Lim Se addressed the entire galaxy through communication networks that humans had secretly established over decades. Her message reached every inhabited world simultaneously, bypassing government censors and speaking directly to billions of individual beings. She revealed that Earth had established hidden colonies in unexplored regions of space, creating a civilization that spanned distances the galaxy had thought impossible to cross. Human settlements existed in systems beyond the edge of known space, connected by faster-than-light networks that made instant communication possible. The scope was breathtaking. Humanity had not just been hiding their military capabilities. They had been building a parallel civilization that was larger and more advanced than anything in known space. The galaxy that alien species thought they understood was actually dominated by human influence. But Admiral Lim offered hope instead of conquest. She explained that humans had learned from watching galactic history that civilizations built on domination always fell. Humanity wanted to create something different, a galactic community based on mutual respect and shared prosperity. The offer came with proof of human intentions. Across the galaxy, human ships began sharing technology freely. Medical advances that could extend lifespans, energy systems that could power entire worlds, and agricultural techniques that could end hunger forever. All given freely without demands for tribute or submission. The generosity had limits, however. Species that had built their power on conquest and oppression found their military capabilities quietly disappearing. Corvin battle fleets discovered their weapons would no longer function, while their life support and navigation systems worked perfectly. The message was clear. Humanity would not tolerate aggression, but would support peaceful development. Any species that chose cooperation would receive technology that could transform their civilization. Any that chose continued warfare would find themselves defenseless against human intervention. The Galactic Council faced a choice that would determine the future of known space. They could accept humanity as the new dominant power and work toward the cooperative civilization humans offered. Or they could resist and face the same fate as the Corvin Empire ambassador. Seo Hoon concluded her address with words that echoed throughout galactic space. Humanity has been patient observers for long enough. Now we choose to become active participants. The galaxy can evolve into something greater than any single species could achieve alone, or it can cling to old ways that no longer work. The transformation accelerated as human ships appeared in systems. Throughout known space, each arrival brought offers of partnership, advanced technology, and protection from aggressive neighbors. The galaxy was being reshaped not through conquest, but through demonstration of what cooperation could achieve. Young beings across dozens of worlds looked up at stars that suddenly seemed filled with possibilities instead of threats. The age of fear and domination was ending, replaced by something unprecedented in galactic history. The humans who had seemed so primitive were revealing themselves as the architects of a new kind of civilization. Captain Moonhai led exploration fleets into regions of space that had been considered too dangerous to visit. Her ships established first contact with isolated civilizations, offering them immediate protection from galactic predators and inclusion in the growing network of human allies. The galaxy was learning that humanity offered something unprecedented, the chance to be part of something greater without losing individual identity. Human technology could enhance any species' natural abilities without replacing their culture or customs. The partnership was real and beneficial. As reports flowed in from across known space, one truth became undeniable. The galaxy underestimating humanity had been the greatest strategic mistake in recorded history. The species everyone had ignored was actually the most prepared, the most advanced, and the most dangerous force in the universe. But instead of using the power for conquest, humans offered it for protection. Instead of demanding submission, they offered partnership. The galaxy would never be the same again. 6 months after the Corvan defeat, the galaxy has fundamentally changed. Captain Choi Sung commands one of dozens of human peacekeeping fleets, working with liberated species to establish new governments free from imperial control. The old power structures are crumbling as formerly oppressed civilizations realize they have humanity's advanced technology backing their independence movements. The Galactic Council undergoes complete restructuring, with Commander Kang Yul serving as Earth's representative in negotiations that establish new rules for interspecies relations. Humanity doesn't seek to dominate. Instead, they offer something unprecedented: genuine equality backed by overwhelming force. Species that were previously conquered now have protection, while aggressive empires face the choice of reform or isolation. Admiral Park reveals humanity's ultimate strategy in her final address to the galaxy. Earth had always planned for this moment, the day when they would emerge from hiding to reshape galactic civilization. The decades of apparent weakness were actually careful preparation, allowing humans to study every threat, understand every weakness, and develop countermeasures for every possible scenario. The transformation continues as human exploration ships commanded by officers like Captain Moonhai venture into previously unknown regions of space, establishing first contact with isolated civilizations and offering them immediate protection from galactic predators. What was once a galaxy ruled by strength and fear becomes one guided by cooperation and mutual defense. The story ends with a new generation of human children like young cadet trainee Shin Bi, learning alongside alien students in integrated academies, preparing for a future where the galaxy's greatest mysteries will be solved through cooperation rather than conquest. Humanity's great deception has become the foundation for a better galactic civilization, proving that sometimes the greatest strength comes from patience, preparation, and the wisdom to strike only when the moment is perfect. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's capacity for strategic thinking, technological innovation, and moral leadership. In trying to conquer what they saw as primitive Earth, the Corvans had awakened a sleeping giant that would reshape the entire galaxy for generations to come.